Hi class, in this video I'm going to be talking about Pythagorean theorem and how to find the longest side of a right angle triangle. So first things first, to use Pythagorean theorem you need to have a right angle triangle. For a right angle triangle, basically what that little square you see here basically means that there's 90 degrees in a triangle. So to be a right angle triangle, one of your angles has to be 90 degrees. Now directly across from the right angle is called C. C is going to be your longest side. And another name for longest side is also called the hypotenuse. Now let's go over an example here. Here my example is find the longest side of the right angle triangle. So here I have a right angle triangle. I have the length here, which is 4 centimeters, and a length here, which is 3 centimeters. And I'm looking for my longest side. And I know I'm looking for my longest side because once again, my longest side is directly across from my right angle. In this case, let's name A 4 centimeters. So I'm going to call this side A, which is 4 centimeters. And I'm going to call this other side here B, which represents 3 centimeters. Now I'm looking for C. To start with Pythagorean theorem, we're going to want to use this formula here, which is A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And again, this formula only works for a right angle triangle. So in this case, let's write it out first. A squared plus B squared equals to C squared. A in this case is 4. So instead of writing A squared, I'm going to write 4 squared. B in this case is 3 centimeters. So instead of writing B squared, I'm going to write 3 squared. So I have 4 squared plus 3 squared equals to C squared. Now 4 squared basically just means 4 multiplied by itself. So 4 times 4 is 16. 3 squared just means 3 multiplied by itself. So 3 times 3 is 9. So 16 plus 9 is going to be 25. So I have 25 equal to C squared. Now if you recall, to find C squared, to find C, to change C squared to C, I can simply take the square root of C squared. If I take the square root of a number that is being squared, I just get that number. But what I do to one side, I have to do to the other side as well. So in this case, if the square root of C squared is simply C, I also have to take the square root of the other side. And in this case, the square root of 25 is going to be 5. So I can say that C equals to 5 centimeters. Okay, now let's move on to a shortcut. So this is a shortcut here. C equals to the square root of A squared plus B squared. So in this case, if you know you're looking for the longest side, and so you're just looking for C and you have both the shorter sides, what you can do is, instead of writing everything out as A squared plus B squared equals C squared and manipulating, all you have to do, if you have especially a calculator, is to write C equals to, and then simply replace your A and your B with what the values say they are. So for example, A says it's 4 squared. So I simply write 4 squared instead of A squared. I'm going to add it to B squared. In this case, B is just 3. So instead of saying B squared, I'm going to write 3 squared. And then you can simply type this, if you have a calculator, all into your calculator. So C equals to 4 squared plus 3 squared. But if you don't have a calculator, then you just compute it, right? In this case, 4 squared is still 16. 3 squared is still 9. So you're going to have the square root of 16 plus 9. In this case, 16 plus 9 is 25. And the square root of 25 is simply 5 centimeters. So you're still going to get the same answer as if you used A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Just some students prefer this method where you just have C already solved for, and you just simply say C equals to the square root of A squared plus B squared. Okay, now let's try some practice examples here. Here, I don't know what C is, and I have 2 of my shorter sides. Now, how do I know these 2 are my shorter sides? Once again, if you simply find the right angle, directly across from the right angle is always your longest side. So right now C doesn't have a value, so I know I'm looking for my longest side. And I have my 2 shorter sides. So if I had my formula, of a squared plus b squared equals to c squared, I simply just want to name either 8 or 6, a or b. In this case, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to say 6 is a and 8 is b. So in this case, a squared would just be 6 squared, b squared would just be 8 squared, and they equal to c squared. Now, 6 squared is just 6 times itself, so 6 times 6 is 36. 8 squared is just 8 times itself, so 8 times 8 is 64. So I got 36 plus 64 equals to c squared. 36 plus 64 is going to be 100. So I have 100 equals to c squared. Now, if I want to find c not c squared, I simply take the square root of c squared. That just gets me c. But what I do to one side, I must do to the other side. So I have to take the square root of 100 as well. In this case, c squared, square rooted, is just going to be c, and then the square root of 100 is going to be 10. So I can say that c equals to 10. Now, I'm also going to give you a choice, right? You always have a choice. Or you can do this. Remember that shortcut formula I had. You can simply write c equals to the square root of a squared plus b squared. In this case, you just have to label what a is and what b is. So c would equal to, a in this case is 6. So instead of a squared, it's 6 squared. B in this case is 8. So instead of b squared, it's 8 squared. And you would just calculate in this form instead. In this case, 6 squared is 36. 8 squared is 64. 36 plus 64 is 100. And then the square root of 100 is simply going to be 10. Okay, and that's how you would solve a question like that.